Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks
for doing this.
Very exciting. I'm not sure how many people were here at the last Breakfast of the Boss, but I sat in the other chair. I was really excited to have the opportunity to try this side of the conversation and meet you and have a wonderful conversation about all that you do.
Thanks so much.
If you wouldn't mind, please start by just telling everyone in the room a little bit about yourself and your role at the Discovery Museum.
Yeah, well, I've been very proud to serve as the CEO at Discovery Museum since the start of 2024. But this is actually my 13th year at the museum. I was Chief Development Officer there for about 10 years, running a fundraising program. So I had the opportunity to be closely involved with all of the growth and change that Melissa was talking about. But for a career, I graduated from Simmons University, then Simmons College, with an economics degree, and I wanted to go into business. Never thought about the nonprofit sector, but for a work-study job my freshman year in order to pay for school, I ended up working in at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, which was an extraordinary opportunity, in a department called development, which I thought was like construction. And I didn't really, know what skills I might bring to that conversation, but stayed there all through school and then ended up in the fundraising world. So 30 years as a fundraiser, working in different kinds of organizations, higher ed, independent schools, and then our museum, which is just a great connection to sort of, it's a job with a lot of purpose. It's a place with an incredible mission. And I have learned that where I need to be is in a place that is working with kids and supporting the strength of kids and families, because that's where it's at. We don't start there. We have a lot of repair work to do over the years.
That is where it's at, absolutely. I am an educator. Marie is an educator, so we are going to ask a couple of questions, and we expect 100% participation.
That's right. Yeah, we can do Quiet Coyote if it needs. It gets too loud in here.
Show of hands, how many of you have been to the Discovery Museum? Okay, wonderful. And show of hands, who has not yet been to the museum? Okay. So for those of us who have not yet been to the museum, tell us a little bit about what it would be like. What would be that first experience? What would we see? And how should we plan for our first visit? Because we all will be there.
Yep, fantastic. Well, planning, we're a place that is designed for families with young kids, and planning goes out the window. So you just show up or do your best. If you have both of your shoes on and everybody's got the full outfit, you're doing great. Those who have had young kids in their lives know what I'm talking about. When you drive up to the museum, the first thing you'll probably see is our enormous fiberglass dinosaur, sort of whimsical, friendly greeting face. Her name is Bessie. She's been with us for many, many, many years. And she is not there because we do a paleontology curriculum. She is there because she's our mascot, and she is a sign that you have arrived at a really fun and delightful museum. You'll also notice that we have solar panels covering our parking lot. So we are the only children's museum in the United States that is producing all of its own electricity on site. We are also one of the largest nonprofit community solar providers in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we use half of the energy that we produce. The other half we sell at a discount to 4 other nonprofits and 10 low-income households across the state. We're really, really proud of that. As it happens, we're also a carbon neutral operation, which is really unique in our industry. You'll see our treehouse. We are an indoor and outdoor experience. We get kids involved in science and nature through play. And everything inside and outside is fully accessible. So if you use wheels, if you push a stroller, if you are a kid who learns differently, if you are someone who gets easily overwhelmed in busy public spaces, we are a place that both in our design and the design of our exhibits and the training of our staff is built to accommodate so that everyone can have an equal experience. And then indoors, our exhibits are delightful. They're fascinating. They are completely screen-free. So kids are not competing with technology for their attention. And we're a place that really values people coming together in sort of a human way. Our exhibits are things that gets kids excited about science and hands-on learning, and that are also fascinating for adults. So we like to give parents permission to play in our space as well.
This sounds fantastic. I look forward to my visit.
I do too.
In your role, I'm sure you have very busy days. I would imagine that you take a stroll at times and you go to that favorite place. Where on the property is that favorite place for you?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about it this morning. There are so many spaces that are that I love. I was just telling my friend Howard from the Greater Lowell Community Foundation about an experience I had. Just stepping outside the office, you see kids having fun and experiencing joy, and there's a lightheartedness to it that, boy, do we ever need that now. So it's a real privilege to be surrounded by that. A space that I particularly love is our water room. And what I love about it is that there are families that come to our museum and want to have a sort of an organized experience. And that all goes out the window in the water room. Kids get in there, they get a little bit wet, they get a lot wet, sometimes completely saturated. We sell a lot of t-shirts in the gift shop for that reason. But it's a space of real sort of joy, Kids, it's all about science. Our water exhibits are driven by the idea of laminar flow and how water behaves when the molecules go at a certain speed and they tend to stick together. You would not know that when you're playing in there. There's no sign that says that. There is no explanation of the language. Kids are not acquiring knowledge about how water behaves. They're acquiring an understanding about how water acts in the real world. And that's something they take with them and just play. It's a great slot to witness kids getting in and doing what they naturally do and learning as they do, having a lot of fun. Fabulous spectator sport. I highly recommend it. Just come and stand outside that room for a couple of minutes.
I'm really glad you brought up the idea of joy.
Yeah.
In my line of work at a vocational technical high school, we're all about helping connect students with that future of work that's going to bring them joy every day. I have to say, the Discovery Museum and the organization that you're leading sounds like an absolutely amazing place to work. Can you tell us a little bit about your employees and the types of things that you're doing to develop your employees?
Yeah, well, we serve about 250,000 people a year through our organization, both in visitors to the museum, that's about 170 or 180,000 annually, and then in our school outreach program, which we may talk about later, about 60,000 kids a year we reach out in their school classrooms. 2025, we had 92 W-2s that we issued. Most of those folks are part-time. We have about 50 FTEs at the organization. And many of our employees are people who have been with us for a long time. It's strange. My board always says, what about attrition? I said, we don't have an attrition issue. Our folks tend to come and stay with us for a long time, whether they're people that enter our sort of pipeline at the admission desk or working on the museum floor, people who come in sort of administrative or professional level jobs. How do we support them? So it's interesting. You all can guess that nonprofit compensation in Massachusetts is about 20% lower on average than for-profit compensation for parallel roles. And we are bound by our obligation to deliver service to our community first and foremost. So over the years, our staff have taken the hits for so we have not been able to keep pace with compensation. Our benefits have not been particularly great. Not to a person. Every one of our employees has had to make sacrifices to work with us. And despite that, they do, and they commit because they believe in the importance of the work that we do. So in our current strategic plan at the museum, 2025 to 27 strategic plan, we made an explicit commitment to doing better for our staff. We believe that that is the number one pathway to strengthening our ability to serve and to being a place that is as sustainable as possible for the long term. So we have invested significantly in compensation. We have improved our benefits package. We all know what's happened to health insurance costs in the last year, so we're doing our best to find ways to do as well as possible. We have lowered the number of hours it takes at Discovery Museum to be considered a full-time employee and to be benefits eligible. We are located in Acton, even though we serve people from all over the state. And we want to make sure that our employees who cannot afford to live within a reasonable drive of the town in which we are based can at least live, somewhere where they can be independent as they grow and as they leave their parents' health insurance coverage and so forth. So we're doing our best. Hope to do more. It's hard to do compensation studies in nonprofit because Harvard is a nonprofit, right? Mass General is a nonprofit. So, just figuring out where we should be in that spectrum of compensation itself is an expensive and time-intensive process. But this is really important to me, working on our organizational culture, making sure our staff have competitive infrastructure like Wi-Fi that works. We spent almost $70,000 last year in technology infrastructure. You would think that we would already have that, but for nonprofits like ours, that kind of investment has not always been possible. So it's a big moment, and we're doing what we can. It's been a little bit of a challenging environment, I will say, for fundraising and acquiring resources over the last 2 years. We can talk more about that if you'd like, but we are doing our very, very best to keep pace and to invest in our staff as we can.
That's wonderful. You mentioned a little bit about the educational institutions and the visitors that you serve. Can you dig into that a little deeper and share with us some of the partnerships that you do have and the ways in which you are serving school-age children and other visitors?
Yeah, so there's so many different ways. I can bundle them into a couple of categories. We serve people who come to us. We call them visitors. Again, 160 or 70,000 people a year there. Typically families. The kids tend to be ages 0 up to maybe 10 or 11. Around the time of middle school, kids start not wanting to go to a children's museum as much, even though they secretly find it really fun. We also work with a lot of community partners, so other nonprofits who, through whom, and we provide subsidized service. I should mention that about 30% of the people we serve annually pay nothing or $1 only for their experience at the museum. So we work with places that are sort of client serving, and we'll bring groups of folks to us, whether they're folks that are engaging in kind of a clinical relationship with the organization, or some that are just kind of social service and human service organizations. But with schools, we have a tremendous depth of connection. We have worked with schools for the last 34 years of our 43. In a formal program called Traveling Science Workshops. This is the way we get to everybody equitably, without regard for their learning difference, whether their family is culturally disposed to visit museums, whether their family seeks out enrichment and can afford out-of-school time experiences. This is going out into school classrooms, bringing hands-on science into their classrooms. We have grown this program over the years at a rate of between 6 and 10% annually, and we have incredible trusting relationships with our school partners. So in 2025, we were in the classrooms of 60,000 children around Massachusetts. That's about 3,000 classrooms in a couple hundred cities and towns. We did that with a staff of about 14 instructors who work incredibly hard. They are on our team. We develop our own curriculum. We have 20 free curriculum topics that link directly to the state learning standards for grades pre-K through 8. What we do that many schools cannot do is we bring in hands-on, fun, interesting, very familiar materials, and through those we teach kids about science, math, and engineering. It is a way of learning that breaks down language barriers. I was just in a Traveling Science Workshops classroom in Belmont last Friday. In a classroom of about 25 kids, there were 5 children who were multilingual learners who were not yet fluent in English. Each of them spoke a different home language. 5 different home languages represented in that classroom, and those kids were still learning their English fluency. What I saw when we started to engage them in the hands-on experimentation that we do was collaboration with English-speaking classmates, an ability to fully engage in the sort of testing and experimentation that we encourage, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughter, a lot of learning. So this kind of classroom experience is something that most teachers are not able to produce. Most schools are not able to afford as a standard. And about 20% of those classrooms, again, receive those services at less than our full charge because we make an effort to raise money to subsidize them. So something we're really, really proud of. I should note quickly that we you know, there is some questioning now happening in our country about the veracity of science. We're thinking a lot about the future and what that will be like for kids, as I know you do, Denise. The way that we felt we could make the biggest difference and be the most responsive now was to get to more kids in their classrooms. So we last fall launched an effort, made a commitment that we're going to double the scale of our traveling science workshops program. By 2030, we will be in front of 120,000 kids a year in their school classrooms. This is a major fundraising initiative for the museum as well, but it's something that we are all deeply passionate about, incredibly committed to, and you know, that's where it's at, making sure more kids know that they can, that they have the power to solve problems on their own, figure out new ways of doing things that haven't been discovered before.
This is fantastic. What an amazing goal for the young people in the area. Can you share a bit more about the types of things that students are learning when they're, I go back to what you were sharing about the water room. What an amazing experience. Students go in there and they're learning with all of this excitement around them. It's, again, very similar to what we do in vocational technical education. Students learn by doing, yes. And that's a very powerful form of learning. What are the real true skills, and you mentioned a few of them, that students are gaining when they are learning through play or learning by doing? What are we really teaching students?
Yeah. Well, we all know how much time kids are spending on screens these days, right? I think you know, there are a number of different statistics that we could cite, but I think the average for kids in upper elementary school is something like 8 hours a day in front of screens. Yeah. We know that kids typically spend less time outdoors than the average incarcerated adult each day. So one of the things that we want kids to learn is connection. Being around other human beings, being in an environment that is innately human, that requires you to engage with others in order to figure things out. That other person might be your trusted adult caregiver. And we do know through research that the learning that happens in partnership with a trusted adult is the most powerful kind of learning. We also know that learning that happens in a combination with your mind and your body sticks with kids, especially kids who may bring learning differences to the table, right? Some kids really need that physical experience in order to embed new learning experiences. What we are doing, we believe, is delivering learning that works for every kid. They build confidence. They learn to trust their natural sense of creativity. They learn how to be driven by the by the curiosity that they naturally bring to the world. Sometimes that curiosity is hard to hang on to as you grow up, right? We want to cultivate that and nurture that. They learn resilience, a tolerance for failure, understanding that failure is part of a learning process that failure is part of growth, right? If you learn to try again and know that at the end you will have a better solution, you know, what better skill for adulthood, right? Kids also learn that each of them has everything that they need to be successful in a learning environment. They may or may not feel like that is the case in a more traditional classroom. We don't grade, we don't rank, we don't review. We celebrate the learning moments that happen. That's part of what our staff is trained to do within the museum.
This is great. These are the skills that precisely employers are looking for when students do go through the process of learning through K-12 and landing in the future. Those ideas of being able to work with others, the critical thinking, the problem solving, what you're doing, this is amazing. Can you share with us an upcoming project or a new exhibit that might be starting up or coming soon that you would want all of us to know about?
Well, there are so many fun things happening at the museum, and I will mention that one of my favorites is coming up this month. If you have young kids in your life or can borrow some,
I can borrow mine.
Right, that's right, exactly. You can have mine. I encourage you to come check out Dirtopia. Dirtopia is an annual festival of getting dirty and breaking a couple of rules that some parents have. And we want to encourage kids to sort of, we want to encourage parents to get more comfortable with kids getting dirty outdoors again, right? We all used to do it back in the day. Some folks don't feel comfortable with it now. Dirtopia is an enormous pile of dirt that we bring to our campus for close to a week. We have bubbling mud pits. We have a mud kitchen. We have mud painting. We have a hose. You can wash up when you're done. Smart adults bring the kids in swimsuits and then just kind of put them in a plastic bag and put them back in the car afterwards. It is really an experience that most kids do not get to have at home. And what I love is when the kid dives into the pile of dirt and the parents are like, ah! And then a half an hour later you look and the parents got their pants rolled up and they're in there as well. So that's really good fun. But something else that's a little bigger and a little more sort of philosophical that we are working on is we want to make sure that we are attending to the needs of the parents and caregivers in our audience, not just the children. And so this isn't really an exhibit. It's not necessarily a specific program. But you may know that the mental health of parents and caregivers is at an all-time low. In fact, I will reference my notes because I can never get these statistics exactly right. Surgeon General did a report in 2024 that showed that 33% of parents in the U.S. report high levels of stress in the past month, compared to 20% of other adults. 48% of parents say that most days their stress is completely overwhelming. We know the costs of child care have gone up almost a quarter in the last decade, and that nearly a quarter of adults in this country are caring both for kids and elder parents. And that often involves not just time and emotional bandwidth, but also financial resources. So how can we get even more serious about making our museum a place of respite, a place that helps everybody recharge, that reminds parents that letting go a little bit, be silly, playing is good for their own mental health. Getting outdoors is an antidote to toxic stress. We know that. We have almost an acre of outdoor space designed just for that. We want to, we've actually just started a program called Grandparent Ambassadors. We're bringing grandparents into our space to talk to and connect with and support the adult caregivers, right? What's better than having a lovely grandmother or grandfather who says, how are you doing? Can I give you a hand with that? Look at that amazing thing that your kid just did. Stop for a minute. Look, that was incredible. What an amazing child you have, right? So we're trying to figure out how we can provide non-clinical but meaningful shoring up and affirmation. Parenting is really hard. It is a highly imperfect art. At Discovery Museum, we celebrate the imperfect nature of parenting. We want to be a judgment-free zone. We want folks to know that if their kid has a meltdown, if something happens, if their kid falls and gets hurt, it's not about parent judgment. It's about all of us supporting each other and making sure that we raise kids that are growing up in healthy, happy households.
Nice. Yes, thank you. Absolutely wonderful. Listening to you share about this makes me very committed to coming with my 3 children, my mother, and my in-laws, because what a wonderful family experience to all have an opportunity to learn from what you're doing at the Discovery Museum.
I should just note that every space at the museum is accessible. I think I mentioned that. And that means that it's a really great space. If you have a person in a stroller and maybe you have a person who uses a wheelchair, an elder parent. I was in that situation and was able to visit the museum successfully with both ends of my family. We try to make it as easy as possible.
That's great. Thank you. Today we are surrounded by many business leaders, business owners. How does the work that you're doing impact the different companies that are represented here in the room today?
Well, we are an economic driver. So we bring 60 to 70,000 carloads of people into Acton every year. That's a lot for our community. We're bringing people from all over the state. And so certainly within our immediate area, we drive a lot of business that, the lunch place, the pizza place, the ice cream place, the Dunkin' Donuts, the caffeine. It's a necessary fuel for parenting. So, we also offer a lot of visibility for the businesses that support us. And there are a great many of them, large and small, regional, national, and local, that have chosen to be connected with us and be affiliated with the work that we do. The adults are the people who are making the purchasing decisions to come to Discovery Museum. Kids can ask for it, but we know that we have to appeal to those adults. And so, that is a lot of buying power that we bring from all parts of the region in every year. So we hope that for our neighbors, certainly in Acton and our immediately surrounding communities, that we're also helping to provide some commerce and some economic gain.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are there any business partnerships that you have right now that you would like to highlight?
Yes, there are some tremendous, really wonderful business partnerships now. I should mention, many people would not think of this, but going way back, remember when Raytheon was like a regional company? Those who've been in the area, I know folks are nodding. Back in the early 80s, Raytheon was a major supporter of our museum for about 20 years, the first 20 years of our existence, and a huge factor in our ability to be successful at that time, including a couple of huge grants that literally helped us get over sort of an inflection point financially. For many years, we actually had the president of Raytheon on our board of directors as a standing position. So, business partnerships have meant a lot. MathWorks in Natick is one that's particularly important and special to us now. For about the last 15 years, they have been a major sponsor of our Traveling Science Workshops program every year. And the fact that they not only renew that support annually, but have expressed real confidence in that work and have been with us as we've tried some new things and have helped us fund some kind of experimental approaches that wouldn't have been possible for us otherwise, it's been incredibly meaningful. My friend Tom Doobie is here today with Doobie Construction Management. Tom, I'll have to just call you out if I may. You're a great example of somebody. Tom serves as a volunteer on our Building and Sustainability Committee, and has also was our GC on our recent renovation of a small building that we use for birthday parties at the museum. Doobie Construction Management is a sponsor at the museum. So we really, relationships like that are kind of multi-layered are just wonderful. And then all the way down to our local retailers. For example, I'll just mention Kitchen Outfitters in Acton, probably for 20 years has made an annual gift to the museum and supports our online auction with donations every year. So all sizes and scales, but we consider each of these places and people real friends.
This is great. Your vision of an ideal partnership moving forward, and if you want to talk about Neshoba Tech, that works for me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm super excited to talk to you about what we might do. Partnerships come in all shapes and sizes, and I think maybe the message here is we're always open to and love having the conversation, right? So when you said, how could we work together with Neshoba Tech? Well, we need a lot of high school age volunteers every year to get our work done. And we hire a lot of young staff members, including people that work for us in high school and then come back in summers during college. I could envision we might talk about, for example, is there an opportunity for students to do work as TAs in our school outreach program and to have a kind of work experience that way, but also provide some hands-on support to our instructors in the classroom? Are there other kind of areas of expertise given your curriculum that students might be able to bring to our work? So whether it's talking about sort of a business affiliation partnership or a nonprofit collaboration or a school collaboration, just ask is the question, and we will figure out if we can make something happen.
Open to all types of partnerships. I think there's probably an opportunity for every organization in this room to connect.
That's right. That's what it takes to get our work done. Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit. So as a superintendent, I understand municipal finance. I understand public school finance. I'm so happy to report I just finished our town meeting circuit for the year.
Yay.
But I'll admit, there's very little that I know about running a nonprofit. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that's different? How is it the same? How is it different from a for-profit environment or a school environment?
Well, we have a balance sheet. We have, everything financially is the same. All of our financials are public because we are tax exempt. So if you're curious about how much we make and spend, you can find that out, including how much I personally make and the top folks paid at our organization. That's part of the transparency that is expected of the nonprofit sector, and that is completely appropriate. And I actually am a really big fan because the amount of donor funds that we receive, people need to be able to know what they're investing in. Our purpose is not profit. Our purpose is mission, execution, and service. So we are judged by growth in the number of people that we serve, the depth of service, how we are meeting their needs, whether we are adapting to new needs. Not by our bottom line, as long as we stay in the black. Any surplus that we have at the end of the year is reinvested in our work, obviously. If we don't have a surplus, we figure it out. We are very fortunate to, we have about a $4 million budget at the museum annually. About 75% of that is personnel costs. And we have 3 streams of revenue writ large. We sell tickets to the museum. Only about 28% of the people who visit our museum are buying tickets. The rest are people who have memberships and don't pay for an individual visit, or people who are coming for free for one reason or another. Our school outreach program, a majority of our folks that we serve there are from schools whose PTOs are raising funds to bring us in. And then we have contributed revenue or donations. That's about 30% of our annual operating budget. It's a little bit, we try to build revenue through visitation, through marketing, through spreading the word, through great programming. It's a little bit of a hard needle to move. Visitation in our industry across the country is down across the board now. Just listened to a research study that said that's because people prefer to stay home and scroll. Which is making me sad. So let's create a generation of kids that don't want to stay home and scroll. But when one of our revenue streams tends to get pinched a little bit, we're fortunate that we have the 2 others that we can do our best work to increase. The ultimate goal with a nonprofit is sustainability. We want to make sure we have enough money in the bank. We want to make sure we have at our organization a 6-month operating reserve at minimum in the bank. We're fortunate that we had some good years coming out of the pandemic, so we have a little bit more than that, where we're able to invest in some special projects. But my Senior Director of Development, Toby Fossey, is here today. It is a constant and relentless pursuit of fundraising, no matter what the nonprofit does and what work, where they're located. It is a little bit of a tough scene right now. So we're just doing our best to deliver good work and strong values that people can believe in and, get some good karma out there in the world.
We're coming a little close to the end.
Yes.
What's next? So you've shared a little bit about the work that you're doing every day to support students. It does sound like this is quite a big undertaking every year to make sure that you have the funds to be able to reach those future goals. Yeah. What's next? What are those future plans as you look ahead? I know you've talked about some of them, but if you could elaborate a bit more on where things are going.
Well, I mentioned our Traveling Science Workshops outreach program. That is a major priority for us. Another that we're working on in the background, our big Wheels Accessible Treehouse is part of what we call Discovery Woods. It is a space for kids connecting with nature by being out in nature, and then we hope becoming good stewards of the natural world as they grow into adulthood. That space needs a lot of help. Unfortunately, thanks to climate change, erosion, compaction of little feet, we are losing the woods in Discovery Woods on our property. And so we're in the midst of an outdoors master planning process so that over time we can go back to the sort of forested feel that we once had at Discovery Museum. That's going to be a long-term project that will take off in bite-sized chunks or attack in bite-sized chunks. But we really want to have a plan so that we know that we can continue to provide this really vital, immersive, and accessible and sustainable outdoor experience for all of our visitors. One thing that is short-term coming up, which I should mention, is on July 10th, we have a Nature Play Festival, open to adults and kids. This is our 2nd annual. It is a day that is free for everyone to visit the Discovery Museum. We have something like 15 community partners who work in the sustainability or environmental education space coming to display and to run activities. We have a whole bunch of our own wonderful outdoor programs and some outside program folks coming as well. It is a day to celebrate that our museum is carbon neutral and solar, and to celebrate how powerful it is just to get kids playing outside again. So last year we had 3,300 people come. And apologize to the Acton Police Department. It was a little bit of a crazy day in our community, but we were thrilled. And so July 10th, all are welcome.
This is this is great. We are going to transition to having some questions from the audience, but I have to ask one first. As a former principal, current superintendent, that we plan large events like graduation. Where do all these guests park?
Oh my gosh, you touched on, this is like the stab in the heart question.
If I could change one thing about our museum, I would make our parking lot twice as big as it is. This is a problem that we wrestle with. For Nature Play Festival, we're using 2 big satellite lots in our community with shuttles. Vacation days and holidays, we have to use shuttles. By the way, it costs about $1,700 a day for one shuttle to run our visitors when we don't have enough parking on campus. So if you can ride a bike, that's great. If you can take the commuter rail to the South Acton station, that's great too. But whenever we know we're going to have high visitation, we figure out where to put everybody. And of course, our parking options always have to be fully accessible, because we make sure that that is a standard for everything they do.
I'm going to now turn. That's a great question, and it's a question that I have to wrestle with every time we have an event. So we work with our business partners to have ancillary parking, and the same idea. So we have similar challenges, and I think a lot to learn and share ideas.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Opening it up to the floor for questions. Yes, over here.
Marie, so do you have any information, either statistically or anecdotally, that children who visit the museum then maybe go on to careers in STEM? And, you know, when you ask the question, like, how does this benefit the community? I think about, we're here on Devon's, there's so much, you know, science and tech industries around here. You're probably educating the next generation of workers for this area. But I just wondered if you have any thoughts on how you're impacting that next generation of.
Yeah. Well, I do. And I should first say hi. Katrina's with Parker Charter School here at Devon's, and I'm a very proud member of the Board of Trustees of Parker. No, because I can't afford that longitudinal study, right? So if anybody has $1 million, it would be we could figure this out. I know we could. What my answer to that always is, what we are doing can't help but help, right? So we know that there are a lot of programs out there in the world that are trying to pick kids up at sort of middle school or high school and reroute them into STEM confidence and STEM excitement at that later stage. Our very strong belief is that if we do a good job, the kids that we serve will not need that remediation later in life as they approach higher ed. We will not need a generation of kids to be sort of told that STEM is a great option for them. They're going to know that, right? Now, we've been doing this for 43 years. STEM sort of, people talk about it more and then less. STEM became STEAM. Now there's a stream, which includes reading. So it's sort of, the context changes and shifts. But again, more independent thinkers, more kids that feel confident in their own learning ability and ability to solve problems, that can't help but be good. I would love to have that data, but every adult who says, I visited the Discovery Museum as a kid and now I'm I say that's because of us. Yeah. Of course we would take credit for that.
Oh, other questions from the room? We'll start over here.
This is great. I really enjoyed your talk. I work at Maire High School. I'm a senior internship coordinator. I just started the role this year. So I'm building relationships with people who can support our seniors who want to go out and do an internship and partner with a business to learn about education or sustainability or childcare or whatever, nonprofit, whatever they're interested in. So I'm hoping that, we can partner with you for next year. And then my second point is, you mentioned that you do bring in obviously interns and summer help. And I just wondering, at this point, I know it's probably late, but are you still looking for anybody for help for this summer?
Yeah, sadly, it is too late. Our volunteer program works like a well-oiled machine. After many years of experience doing this, and you know how the systems go. Yes, we recruit our summer volunteers in about April, so that we have enough sort of time to get everybody ready. I will say that if anyone has a young person in their lives that is interested in ever volunteering at the Discovery Museum, one thing we do require is that they approach us themselves. We do not accept calls from the parents who say, I want to get my kid a volunteer job. The kid has to schedule the interview if they get one, fill out the form in their own handwriting. Everything is them, because we believe that half of the professional development that you get from volunteering is going through the process of getting that post yourself. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to talking.
No, we had another question over here at this table.
I'm a big proponent of the artist, Marie. How do you seek the A in STEAM?
Ooh. Well, it's interesting, Howard, that the process of scientific inquiry is really the same as the process of artistic creativity, right? Creative process, just by a different name, right? So all of that try again works great, whether you are creating something visual or sculptural, as it does in solving scientific problems. We do about 300 to 400 facilitated programs a year in the museum, free with admission for visitors. And a lot of those are things that bring in the A in STEAM. And some of them are really at that intersection of science and art. So we do art making with natural materials that we find in Discovery Woods. We will do we have a wonderful program called Take Aparts, where kids get to dismantle old stuff. Who does that anymore at home, right? What a great learning experience. And then we have programs where they make things with the pieces and the parts. On the daily, as they say, Howard, in our Da Vinci workshop in the museum, which is a permanent exhibit gallery, that is all about encouraging creative confidence in kids. So they come in, we give them a ton of different kinds of recycled and reclaimed materials, a couple of prompts. Hey, today we're working with textiles, or today we're working with cardboard that moves, or we're making things that dangle. And we support them in coming up with the idea for what to make and then executing it. It is not a prescriptive, we're going to make this today. It is very open-ended, and watching kids wrestle with having that idea and then figure out how to approach it that is the learning in that space. So we hope that we're cultivating some future artists, and by being a museum, cultivating a generation of kids that will want to be consumers of the cultural arts as they grow, because they appreciate the role that they could play in their lives. You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions from our visitors?
Can I just say that even if you don't have little kids, you are welcome to come. Reach out to anybody on staff. We'd love to have you and show you around. If you need a dose of happiness and a good sort of sense of optimism and hope for the future, I highly recommend it.
Well, my family will be visiting very soon. It sounds like such joy to be in this location. In fact, when you mentioned the exhibit with the giant pile of dirt, I said, I have to be there. I need to go. My oldest son, his favorite pastime in the whole world is digging and anything construction related since he was born. Fantastic. He's 15. He will love to go. He will be excited to dive in, and I will have to hose him off before he gets in the car. Oh, it looks like we have another question.
Further to that, do you ever have like adult play night?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought it.
Simon,
I forgot to mention.
I have a birthday coming up, like a big birthday.
Oh.
And I could have my birthday party there. I had my 25th birthday party at McDonald's at the Play Place. Oh my gosh. We had quarter.
All right, we need to talk, So yes, you can have we do rentals of our museum for birthday parties for kids, but also for adults, or any kind of party, in fact. However, anybody is welcome on July 23rd. Is that correct, Ann and Toby? July 23rd, Discovery After Dark, 21 plus at Discovery Museum. Live band, bar, food trucks, super fun people who will not be wearing blue suits that night. And there's dancing, there's fun. We provide a passport to all kinds of, get you exploring the museum and being a little bit silly. And I guarantee you'll leave feeling a lot better. So July 23rd, Discovery After Dark, and there are tickets available on our website.
This is excellent. Another idea that is running through my mind is we have so many educators who have young children, and what a way to potentially give back to our staff to work with you to maybe have a day where we all go together with the young people in our lives.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way, any teacher who comes with credentials gets in free at our museum. It's always in the policy.
Wow, this
Yes.
is great.
Active duty military families, educators, anybody with an EBT card, Mass Health, Connector Care, or WIC can come for $1 anytime, $1 a person in their family. We have a ways to save page on our website for anyone that feels that financially our regular ticket price is a little bit of a challenge.
All of these wonderful opportunities to experience and everything that you're doing to make sure that it's accessible to all individuals is wonderful, and I think also speaks to why it's so important that every one of us needs to find ways to partner with your organization. So thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to get to know you and the Discovery Museum, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. I can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.